Greetings, Game Master Player here with another Iron GM vlog, and it's, some of you may have seen the previous one, and I've made some decisions. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to have some sort of world-ending event that the players have to fight against, and I think I've decided it's going to be like the World Forge, I think is what I'm going to call it, that's basically where they're gonna, the chamber area they're gonna fight in is called the World Forge. And what happens in history in the world itself is a weave, and there's two kinds of weaves that are going in. One is history itself, which is knowledge, and the other one's going to be magic. So, and together that forms the life of the world. So, and the villain's going to be breaking or cutting these weaves and breaking them, and the players will have to try to stop him, of course, by trying to also kill an army of mooks in the meantime. So, but if he succeeds at a certain point, like the player characters that are magical will lose their magic, and then if he succeeds on taking away the knowledge and the history, they'll lose their technology, and which means like steel, even it'll be bronze or iron, or not iron, like copper, so, or stone, it'll go back. So and I'll run with it as I go. I'll be tweaking things as I go, but yeah, it's gonna be awesome how they're gonna just how that's gonna happen. The players are gonna have to fight the main guy, or attempt to, they can try to remend the strands, the weaves. So it's just going to be difficult to do, and it's time consuming. So they have to figure out how they're going to fight off so many enemies, and all at the same time, while this guy is hacking away at the very fabric of the world. So, and I think it's a really cool idea, because what's going to happen is I'm going to pre-generate 8 characters, and each character is going to have like 4 copies. They're going to have the main copy that they're working on now, and then they're going to have the technology-less copy, the magic-less copy, and the both-less copy. So, plus, like I said, plus the main. So you've got the main, which is going to be the regular characters, and then, like, the magic-less copy is that if the tech is still there, then what's going to happen is, like, the mages, the spellcasters are going to have, they're still going to have magic. It's just going to be ritual magic, and more, powders, potions, things like that. They might have pistols. Excuse me. They may have pistols or something as their magic. There might be a little bit more science involved. So there is that. And then I'm thinking about, but if you take away the technology, then their armors and their metal working is going to degrade, but they're going to still have magic. So, for example, instead of having a magic ring that does something, it's going to be some sort of weird animalistic-looking fetish creation that they're going to wear instead. It's going to be, magic's going to still take place. It'll still be powerful. It just won't be, the construction of certain items won't exist. Certain things won't happen anymore. So, that's kind of the gist of most of it. So it's going to be, the world's going to be changing, and that's going to be the end fight. Now, the beginning of the game, which is going to be hilarious because the game is kind of split in half. At the beginning of the game, the players have to steal an artifact, an object, and they're competing with other groups. It is what they're told, to be able to get these go with certain artifacts and get certain things. So, and I'm going to tell them 3 groups have been hired for each artifact. This is the last artifact, and the group has been hired to retrieve this artifact. Well, it's it's going to be make it sound like it's some sort of competition, some sort of race. And in all actuality, the player characters, who happen to be the ones that are going to win, because the other 2 groups are actually going to get destroyed, because they're actually stealing for a bad guy, a very, very bad guy. The villain, actually. They're going to steal for the villain. It's going to be great. Because they're going to steal the last piece that the villain needs to be able to get into the World Forge proper, finish the ritual, get in the World Forge, and destroy the fabric of space and time of the world. Pretty nice, huh? So, and then the players are going to basically fight the mooks, get some traps, there's going to be traps and all that other stuff. They're gonna have to heal. I'm gonna use a group at level 5, I think, which is high enough to get some bonuses and high enough to be, that they would take a job without asking too many questions. It's gotta be something. And I don't want the characters to be overly complicated, so where people have these huge characters to work with. That's just because that's gonna be overwhelming. That's gonna be just completely and totally overwhelming for people, is to have these huge characters they have to work with. And normally people generate characters, and I'm not gonna have that. I'm not gonna have them generate characters. I'm not gonna do any of that stuff. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna have everybody, just pick a character. That way I have got, here's your other copies kind of thing when it happens, and go from there. I think it'll be a lot of fun. So, excuse me. But all that stuff. So sorry about that. But so that's the idea. That's the general idea of the game, is to get them to be this group and then have them change based on how the world's destroyed. Like, I was going to have one where as the magic is changed, one of the characters who's going to be a half-elf will become human, because the elves don't exist anymore in that sense, or the elf that, so it's going to basically not, well, elves will exist, I take that back, but the conditions where his character was sired won't exist anymore, and he'll become human, or he or she will become human. And same thing is going to go for half-orc, except for it's going to go the other way. Instead of becoming human, they're going to become orc. So, the character sheet is going to change. And that's what's going to be really interesting, is that some people will have race changes, some people have class changes. So, for example, I will have a cleric who, when the magic goes away, but when the technology goes away, that cleric's going to become a druid. So, I got to pick and choose some things. Like, the fighter's going to stay a fighter. I'll have a barbarian. Well, let me put it this way. I was thinking about doing a half-orc monk. Okay, now listen with me. A calm, peaceful, not peaceful, but still a fighter, but turn it to an orc barbarian after if civilization is lost. So, or his history is lost, because then it becomes more savage, not as enlightened. Right? Thank you. And some of the characters won't change. Ranger's going to still be a ranger. Fighter's still going to be a fighter. So certain things like that I'm not going to change. A wizard might become a sorcerer if it becomes primitive, or if it loses technology, it might become an alchemist type, or I don't know. I'll go through the classes and make some changes and appropriately become. If it's 5th edition D&D, for example, it might become a warlock. So, getting its powers from a different source, an ancient source that gives the ability, the person the ability to have magic, and which means their spell list will change, and some of the other abilities will change. But maybe I'll orchestrate a little bit more, because it's not going to be enough time for players to really focus on the changes of their character. So maybe I'll orchestrate which strands of fabric will be destroyed first. Maybe I'll do technology first, and then I'll do magic. That's how I'll do it. I'll do technology first, and then I'll do magic. So that'll probably be the easiest way to go. So, but so in every step of the way, people are going to change. Change how things are going. So again, we'll see. We'll see how this all devolves first. So I might have it to where it's a monk half-orc to a barbarian half-orc to an orc, and it's the half-elf, bard, maybe to a human bard, to a human scholar, type, and change the class up a little bit more, make it a completely non-combatant type, but keep it, not an entertainer necessarily, but still a learner of some kind, or or shaman, whatever, something similar to that. And that's what basically we're going to do. We're going to change it down, or it might be a bard, a half-elf bard to a human sorcerer. Natural magical ability. I don't know. I haven't decided yet. So, but that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to trim things down a little bit. I'm going to change things up a little bit, make it interesting. fabric changes, their characters change, but their knowledge doesn't. They still know what's going on, and that's because the items. Now, see, the items you get to pick from. This guy doesn't give a care in the world. The main villain. He's going to trade this trinket for a pull of an item, a magical item, out of this stash, this pile. And because he doesn't need it, he's going to end the world. Why does he need magical items? Right? He's got the pieces he needs to be able to open the World Forge, and he's going to have the tool to cut the fabric of space and time. It just takes time for him to do it. He's going to have all those resources available to him, one way or another. So all these other trinkets, and I'm going to call them trinkets, they're on the side, are just going to be available. And oddly enough, because they were crafted in the World Forge antechamber, because it's going to be a kind of well, the World Forge itself is a misnomer, but those items actually will not change. They will stay identically the same, and will also allow the players to retain their knowledge of what's going on, because they are attached. Those items are attached to the World Forge. So, and it's also going to give them proficiency. So they're going to be able to pick whatever they want. If they want heavy armor, fine, you can have heavy armor. And you gain proficiency in that armor too, so you don't get any penalties for having that armor. So, that's exactly how I'm going to treat it. So it's because it's, again, since it was forged in an area that controls history itself and the magic itself, kind of, a lot of the prerequisites of each item I'm just going to take away. So, because it'll be more fun. It'll just make it easier and fun. And that's how it's going to work. So the first part of the adventure is the Great Caper. And the second part of the adventure is, oops, we need to kill this guy. So, I'm going to kind of treat it like that, with that mentality and that attitude. I think it's going to be funny. Oops, we need to kill this guy. So, but all in all, and that's what my story's going to be. I got to make the characters this weekend. I'll be creating all the characters and all the renditions this weekend. I'll get them saved and print them out. Probably this weekend still too. Probably get them all printed this weekend, and then pack them in a folder for me for the event. And am I gonna have a GM screen? You know what? I'm not gonna have a GM screen. I'm just gonna sit there with my tablet with the rules that I might need to have. Otherwise, I don't think I'm gonna have the rules. I'm gonna make it very simple. There's gonna be like skeletons and probably goblins. I'll keep it something stupidly simple. The reason they're skeletons because the dead will, fragments of the dead will be reanimated for this process, and I'll make something up. And the goblins are just mooks. I'll use goblins or kobolds, not sure which yet. And then the main villain, who's going to be fantastically awesome. The main villain himself is going to be a nobody, a complete and utter nobody. Now, I unfortunately stole the idea, kinda, from Wakfu, which was a anime-like series, even though it was French. That was it's based off of an MMO. It was a cartoon series based off an MMO, and the main villain in the first season was just a normal guy that came across some power that turned him into a bad guy for the most part. He became out of control, and he just became this bad guy out of it. But he said he's really a nobody in so many ways, and that's exactly what this person would be. He's going to be basically a nobody, and he's going to be touched by something that's going to give him some ability, and he's going to have a few items, and that's it. He's going to be not hard to beat. Well, he'll be decent hard to beat because he will have some immunities and damage reduction and resistances and things like that. But that's it. And he's going to be basically just a pawn, and he's going to be mad. He's going to be insane, just totally insane. So what he's doing is he's destroying the world. He doesn't even know he's destroying the world. He's been tricked into doing this because he thinks it'll bring back he'll bring his wife back because she was killed by a disease or something like that, and he's gonna be tricked to destroy the world to do it, so he gets to see his wife again. So it's gonna be a tragic affair as well. And actually, I just thought about that part right now. So thinking on my feet. But that's it. That's gonna be it's gonna be an interesting story. The bad guy's gonna be a bad guy, but it's not gonna be a bad guy because he wants to be or needs to be. It's gonna be a bad guy because it's a circumstance thing. So, and it's gonna be a tragic story in a lot of ways, and they're gonna have to defeat him. And of course, at the very end, then he's like, and he'll of course look up at the players and tell them, I get to see my wife again, and then he'll die. And just doing it that way, I think will move my players, hopefully. And if you're watching, now you'll know some of the things again, like I was about. It'll move my players. It'll bring them to some sort of good story satisfaction in some ways. And but I'm gonna also leave it open at the end, because you gotta leave the game open. You gotta leave the story available for them to continue. Is that they're gonna still be in the World Forge. Maybe they can go back and fix it. In one of the rooms, they're going to find a tome that's going to talk about how to manipulate the world, and a section of the tome's going to be torn out, which is how to destroy history. Then it's going to talk about this magical gateway or portal, or whatever, that can take them through time to do these things, to do something. So that way, that if they wanted to, somebody else could pick up the game for them and continue on. So, which I think would be fantastic. Or, if I have other people interested, maybe they could, maybe they'll play another time, play later, whatever. I think it'd be cool. It'd be very cool. So, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what goes on. Excuse me again. But anyway, I think that's enough for my Iron GM vlog right now. I think I got some good information. And this, the funny part is, I'm actually going to watch these over again and make sure my ideas get set in stone a little bit more. So I'll be focusing on them probably next week a little bit. I'll focus on them a little bit more, get my story all hammered out, and then take the ingredients that I get. Like, for example, I'm supposed to have bats and turpentine and rainbows. I'm supposed to add that into the game somehow, and then it turns into, bats. I'm gonna have I can use a crest that's a bat. I can do that. I can have villainous bats, which might be an idea too. I have to incorporate bats in the game. And rainbow, the strands of fabric and time, the strands of magic and time and history and all that stuff are rainbow colored, and they form together into this shimmering, multicolored, constantly changing like cloth that is history and stuff. So I can incorporate certain. That's how I would have to do it. I have to, on the fly, figure out. I'm going to throw in those three ingredients, those three key ingredients that I'm supposed to make the best game out of. So I'm hoping I get I get high points for being prepared. That's the biggest part. I hope I get high points for being prepared. So I've done some of these with a few other. I've played a couple other Iron GMs, and last year was Iron GM Hobo, Gamer Hobo, or whatever it was, Game Extra Hobo, and it's because he jumped in the very last minute and had to think of a game out of nothing. He did a really good job, and I hope I get to see him this year and thank him for it again, because he did a really good job. And the year I played before that, the GM was really good. He had a good story, and we had a good story with him. And it was GM Dreads, Iron GM Dreads, and he did win one year previously, and it was very good. And he was very surprised that I sacrificed my character for the story to attempt to try to save another character. It was really, really moving, and it was a really good time, and he had a good time too, and that was the important part. My GM had a good time. So not only did the players have a good time, the GM had a great time, and that's how it's supposed to be. We're all supposed to have fun. And if I get to see him this year, and again, it'll be the same thing. I'm like, hey, thank you for the great game, and I'm doing this because you guys did it and showed me how to do it, and I'm going to compete now. So we'll see what happens, and hopefully it's not too terribly bad. And hope it's a good experience for me, and if I get lucky, maybe I'll win. Maybe I'll place. if I don't place, I don't place. You know, at least I can say I did it. And that's the other thing. It goes back to another vlog that I did recently, a car vlog, is that, you know what? Finding the simple things, being happy about it. You know, it's something I could do, I can experience, and sure, why not? I might as well do it. I can experience it. It'll be a good time. And that's the whole point, is I just want to have a good time. And it's going to be probably one of the last Gen Cons I get to do something like this, because my oldest is going to be old enough to start participating at Gen Con, but not old enough to play an Iron GM, so, and I can't run my own kids in Iron GM, I can't run people I know in Iron GM, I have to run strangers, so it's going to be complicated after this year, but I'm okay with that. So I'm going to pull out some stops this year and have a good time. So anyway, thank everyone for watching my video, and hopefully my players of my Iron GM game have had time to learn a little bit about their game and who their GM is, and hopefully if I get lucky they'll watch some more of my stuff and get some more ideas, and you know, maybe I'll see them at another Gen Con. Maybe, you know, that'll be fantastic. Maybe we can get together, maybe game sometime. Maybe they live close by me. I don't know. So anyway, thank everyone for watching this video, and I will see you next time.